Alright, looks like we have some early Twitter reactions for the Captain Marvel movie coming out April 5th. And it looks like people are really liking it. You know, it's getting a lot of positive buzz. And it seems like the consensus is that it's a fun superhero film for the whole family. But I thought I'd just read out some of these Twitter posts and see what everyone's reaction to the Captain Marvel film is. Eric Eisenberg, blue checkmark dude. DC is finally building a solid run.
Is that what you think?
I'll tell you what I think.
It doesn't matter what you think!
Shazam is a delight. Its familiar origin structure is forgivable because of all the new it brings to the table. Primarily, its gleeful, childlike enthusiasm and heartfelt perspective on family.
And let me go on to further say, I, right now, am trying extremely hard to maintain my composure.
It's also the role Zachary Levi was born to play. And a lot of people are saying that Zachary Levi is killing it in this film. From everything that we've seen in the trailers, it does look like he's doing a great job. Everybody on Twitter keeps saying he's born to play this role.
I was just going to say that.
That's brilliant!
Thank you.
Haven't seen the film yet, but I'm sure it is going to be a very heartfelt film that has to do a lot with family and foster families, because that's the Shazam character. That's the Captain Marvel character. For all of us that are somewhat familiar with this character, that's not a surprise at all. We were expecting this movie to be a heartfelt, gleeful, fun film. And the foster family is a big part of the Shazam character. But let's read another one. This one from Franchise Fred. I assume he's into franchises.
Ha
But he says, I loved Shazam. I loved its sense of humor and kids playing. Loved how it championed foster families. And really related to how it showed young boys getting jealous of each other. Alright, he mentions kids playing and young boys. I wonder what else is on Franchise Fred's mind.
Must investigate further.
It's interesting how he says, loved how it championed foster families. Like, you know, I know not everybody is in tune with these characters. And I know especially with Shazam, not everyone's familiar with his origin story or anything about his character. But, you know, I always assumed that the foster family was going to be like the center of the film, you know? That's where a lot of the emotional weight of the film is going to come from. I always assumed that. So, you know, judging by some of these tweets so far, it seems everything we've been hoping for this film is turning out to be the case, at least in these early reactions, right? Now let's read one from everyone's favorite Collider journalist, Frosty himself. He says he loves Shazam. It's super fun. Very funny. A few times people were laughing so loud I missed dialogue.
You sound like a human vacuum cleaner, managing to both suck and blow at the same time.
Alright, calm down. Calm down, Frosty. I'm sure they weren't laughing that loud. And exactly what they set out to make. Big meets Superman. Zachary Levi is perfect cast. But the real surprise is some Twitter handle as Freddie Freeman steals the show. So the kid who plays Freddie Freeman steals the show. Good to hear. From the trailers, he looked like he was going to be a funny part of the film. But, you know, if you're noticing a pattern with these tweets, everybody's really loving how this character is fun and funny. So, you know, it really just tells WB what they need to put out, right? It really tells WB this is the only kind of films people want to see. And, you know, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I knew it! I knew it was bad news. Wait a minute. I have an idea. Maybe if you tell me the bad news in a good way, it won't sound so bad to you.
But already, you can already see these tweets. Everybody really has the same opinion when it comes to this movie already. At least with the people who saw it early, right? But let's read a couple more. Nicholas Whitecobb says, Shazam is a blast. Zachary Levi is perfect as Earth's mightiest mortal, and the film has such heart. Very unique take on genre that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Very nice.
And embraces the weirdness of comics. Mind-blowing Easter eggs for hardcore fans. Now, I wonder what the mind-blowing Easter eggs are. If it's Man of Steel references and BVS references, my mind's going to be blown. So I hope that's what he's talking about. So let's hope for that. And of course, he had to add that same cliche, doesn't take itself too seriously, embraces the weirdness of comics. You know, as if comics are like the weirdest thing ever, right? You know, I always hate that fucking line. Doesn't take itself too seriously. Embraces the weirdness of comics. Like, that's some cliche bullshit, you know, that everybody says. Like, could you imagine if they said that about the Lord of the Rings films? You know? It doesn't take itself too seriously, embraces the weirdness of fantasy novels. You know, could you imagine if somebody said that? But of course, when it comes to comic books, they're not meant to be taken seriously, and they're just weird color books for these people. And another thing I hate about that doesn't take itself too seriously line is because that's a direct jab at BVS. You know, it's a direct insult to all these superhero films like Logan and Dark Knight that take themselves seriously, that take the source material seriously. And when I see people say lines like that, all I can think of is all the shit BVS got for being a serious film. And it's clear they're trying to throw shade at those type of films with those kind of comments, right? And what were you expecting walking into Shazam? Were you expecting it to be a serious film? Because I'm not. Nobody is, you know, like, it's Shazam, it's Captain Marvel. It's not Batman. It's not Swamp Thing, you know? Like, if Shazam was a deadly serious film, then they got the Shazam character wrong, you know? Like, it's really that simple. So it's not even worth saying that comment. It's not even worth saying it doesn't take itself seriously, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why that made me mad. I really don't. I just hate those cliche, corny-ass takes. You know, it's not even really an opinion. You know, this is the same shit we hear about every goddamn superhero film, right? Doesn't take itself too seriously, embraces the weirdness of comics. And when people don't like a superhero film, they say it's too serious and it needs to not take itself too seriously. But, yeah, let's just read this last one because I thought it was interesting and it was actually different from all these other reactions. I don't know if you've noticed a pattern, but a lot of these reactions are fucking identical. But this one was actually a little different. It comes from Brandon Davis, and he says, Shazam is such a brilliant movie. It's so tremendously fun and incredibly scary at some points, thanks to David F. Sandberg. It blows away every expectation. It is my new favorite DC movie. I can already tell you right now it's not going to be my favorite DC film. It's not going to dethrone Batman versus Superman. It's not even going to come close. But, you know, I will accept that it will be fun.
F is for fire that burns down the whole town. Use for uranium bombs. N is for no survivors when you...
Light gun.
You know, I'm probably going to have a hell of a time watching this film because I'm going to be getting all these DC Easter eggs that's in the film, all the Man of Steel references. But what really intrigues me about this guy's comments is that he says it's incredibly scary at some points. Like, what is he talking about? Like, I wasn't expecting that. Like, what do you mean incredibly scary? We know David F. Sandberg's a horror movie director. At least that's where you guys start. So I guess he was able to fit some horror into this film. But, you know, this is the one tweet from the early reactions that really stuck out to me. And now this really gets me intrigued to see Captain Marvel. Like, what do you mean it's scary at some points? Like, I know who should be scary, and it's Black Adam. That's the character that should be scary. Dr. Savannah, if they somehow made him like a horror movie type villain, like, you know, that would be dope. Really gets me intrigued to see what scary moments he's talking about. I can't wait to see the film. Of course, everybody and their grandmother is saying that it's tremendously fun. But, you know, that's what we were expecting this whole time. Because that's what the Shazam character is. That's what Captain Marvel is. He's a kid in a grown-up's body. It's gonna be a little silly because he's an immature kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. There's gonna be funny moments. But with that, you know, we should also get serious moments, you know, some scary moments, because it is a kid in a grown-up's body, and when he gets thrown into like a situation where his life is being threatened as Shazam, like, we should really start feeling scared for Billy Batson, right? Because he's not Superman, right? He's just a kid. He's just learning how to become Shazam. He's vulnerable this early on in his superhero career. And he's a foster kid on top of that. You know, there's nothing fun about being a foster kid with no family. So that's another aspect of the movie I'm really looking forward to. The foster family side of it. Billy Batson trying to be comfortable being in a family, you know? And as we see in the trailers, Billy Batson looks like he's a little shit in the beginning of the movie, and then he gets adopted into this foster family who has a bunch of foster kids. And I assume this movie is going to be Billy Batson learning how to trust again, learning how to build relationships with people that he will call his family in the future, you know? And that stuff is going to be the emotional heart of the film, and I can't wait to see that. Of course, there's going to be funny moments. Shazam is primed for that, and I'm sure I'll laugh out loud in a lot of moments. But when I walk out of the movie, I hope that's not the only thing I think of. You know, I hope that the movie does deliver some of that emotional depth that I'm looking for, and that the comedy of the movie is a byproduct of the story that's being told, and not some forced humor that executives said had to happen, right? But that's it for now. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Are you excited to see Shazam? I'm excited to see it, especially after that last tweet with the guy talking about how there's some scary moments in it. I'm excited to see that. But yeah, that's it for now. Overall, everybody's loving Shazam. The early reactions, everyone's loving it. And Shazam comes out April 5th. So we don't have to wait too long to see it for ourselves. And we'll probably have early reviews probably a week before it comes out and whatever. And yeah, that's it for now. Comment below, let me know what you think. And I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.
Either way, we ought to have a lot of fun, huh?